People always ask how I balance my family life with 400 shows a year. I'm just doing what I love with the people I love. It's my magic life.
I like Wes Iseli. I like everything about him.
All right, today we have a legend in magic. He is a magician. He's a creator. He's a writer. He's a TV producer, an actor, and an animal lover. Everybody, it's David Regal. What's up, buddy? How are you?
I'll be really good in a minute after I have my diet Mountain Dew. That's right, Diet Mountain Dew. They cut back on calories, but not on flavor. Diet Mountain Dew.
It's good stuff. We have it here too. She's got diet.
No way.
Diet Dr.
Oh
Pepper.
my God. Okay, that's okay.
That's not the same.
Yes, if I don't sleep tonight,
Cherry with 0 sugar. It's good stuff.
I might not sleep tonight because it's 6 o'clock my time. Too late for a Diet Mountain Dew, but I'm doing it. I'm doing it.
All right. When we first
Living on the edge.
asked him to come on here, he said, "Yeah, that day should work. I'll let you know later on because my dog is asleep on my lap." I know you're a comedy writer. I know that could be a joke. That could be a setup for a joke, but I know you. And I'm like, the dog is asleep on his lap, but he's not moving. That's what it is.
On that subject, for my last birthday, my wife got me a bobblehead of me holding my 2 dogs.
Oh,
They're adorable. Yeah, there they are. Oh, look, it's actually a perfect match. I can make it the same size. There we go. And I can do the whole interview like this.
That's awesome.
that's funny.
That's great.
What
Dude.
kind of dogs are they?
You know, they're all both kind of mixed up.
Okay.
One's probably got some Chihuahua going on there. The other one's got, the scraggly one's got like 25% poodle somehow, and
Yeah.
like schnauzer and like just different things. They're
Oh,
all rescues.
cute little nuts. I love it.
Yeah.
They're the best.
All right, David. How'd you get started in magic?
I got started, my story is very similar to other people's stories. I had a friend, I had a magic kit when I was a kid. Someone gave me a magic kit and I really enjoyed it. But my friend Jerry, when I was in elementary school, he had a dad that went to New York now and then. I grew up in the Boston area. But the dad went to New York, got Jerry tricks from Louis Tannen's magic shop. And these are like tricks. These are like very expensive tricks. By that, I mean $25 tricks, like Forgetful Freddy, if you remember that crazy prop. And I think he actually had a Capenetro too, Jerry, my friend. Anyhow, he'd show me all these tricks and I'm going, what? I didn't know there was such a thing as a magic shop. And then Jerry said to me, if you'd like, I can give you one of their catalogs. There's catalogs for magic shops. And of course, the Lou Tannen catalog, which they used to, I guess, revise every year or two, looked like a Bible. It was like hardcover, this thick. And Jerry gave me the catalog that was no longer, the up-to-date catalog. And this became my magic pornography when I was a little kid, reading it under the covers late at night with a flashlight, hoping no one told me to go to bed, reading every description of every trick. And I had a piece of paper, and in my little disgusting handwriting, I'd write the names of, if I had enough money, like $5, what would I get? And eventually I had this list of tricks, and then I rate them, which one would I buy first? And I got to tell you, looking through that catalog is one of the best experiences in magic, because it's all imagination. It's all fantastic things, and you have absolutely no idea how anything could possibly be done. And of course, they would embellish, as catalogs do. And do you remember the cigarette catcher? It used to be a staple in every magic shop when there are lots of magic shops. Did I mention it looks like you live in a magic shop, Wes?
Yeah. Well, that's okay. That's all right. That's all right. You're welcome to come over anytime.
No, I have a similar thing behind this.
Okay.
Anyhow, cigarette catcher. It had a description and a little drawing. Imagine in the middle of your show, reaching into the air and producing a cigarette. Now, remember, I'm like 11 years old reading this, maybe, I don't know. You take that cigarette, you put it into a hat. Wait, you reach up and produce another cigarette and throw it into the hat, and another, and another. And you think, how is this possible? And then it says, produce an unlimited amount of cigarettes. I'm like, how is this possible? You're wearing a backpack that's spitting out cigarettes with some vacuum device. But that's not all. What do you mean? I've just produced limitless cigarettes and put them into this box or hat. It says, at your discretion, make a magical motion over the hat and reveal that all the cigarettes have vanished. I'm going, what? You produce limitless cigarettes like a cigarette smoking god. And then regardless of how many you produce, they all vanish. It says price 15 cents. It's like, what? And of course, that went on the list. So I had this just mammoth list. And making that list, another one of the great moments of magic. When you finally I'd saved up enough money to make an order, and I sent that order off to lieutenants, one of the great moments in magic. Those several weeks you had to wait for that box to arrive, the greatest moments of magic. The day that box arrives from lieutenants, one of the greatest moments of magic. Then you cut open that box, look inside, and it's one of the most horrible moments in magic. Yes. All the things that you thought you were just involved immense machinery. Oh, it's a rubber band. Oh, I think this was a paperclip once. All the tricks had similar methods, but it's a great education because I think one of the great lessons in magic is that method and effect are two different things. The effect is one thing. The method you use is its own thing. And yeah, we all want the best method for that effect, but they're really separate things. And yeah, that's how I got into magic, through Jerry's Lieutenant catalog. Then I discovered the magic shops in Boston. It wasn't the subway, it was the trolley, we called it, because it was above ground, to these magic shops. And there were 3 joke/magic shops in Boston. And I started going there and meeting the guys and the creepy men occasionally, and got into magic, doing kid shows like you would not believe. Because of my mother's side of the family, there were limitless 4-year-old children. There was just a new crop every year. It's this giant family, chain. And every year there seemed to be a limitless amount, like the cigarettes, a limitless amount of David Regal relatives that were 4 years old that wanted to see magic shows.
Who was on the cover of your tenants? Do you remember? The
cover it was the metallic one, silver metallic, and I think I could dig it out here. But that's how you know it. It's like number 7 or something, but it's a silver metallic. I'd have to leave frame, but I could drag it down and show it to you. But
yeah, I have right off frame here, and I have Copperfield in just displayed.
Oh no, this is pre-Copperfield, man.
Yeah,
Way pre-Copperfield. David Copperfield was probably a sonogram when that catalog came out.
Well, I had the same experience. Mine was my catalog that I had was Abbott's, and that was a big fat. And I didn't have math books. I still am awful at math, but I had my Abbott's catalog in my book bag in school.
Yeah, I bought a lot from Abbott's.
Yeah, and Abbott's same thing. You get the thing, and you're like, that's what I bought. But it helps creativity. Your brain can come up with so many other methods as a magician than what they give you, and it's like, maybe I like my method better. Maybe.
Yeah. Conversely, sometimes you're not smart enough to realize that this thing that looks like a rubber band attached to a paper clip is actually a great method. You think it can't possibly be a great method. I was working on a show some years back, teaching magic to celebrities who would then compete. And correct. And we had, I won't mention the name, but we had one celebrity who loved the show until she was informed of how tricks worked. And she thought, oh no, you're giving me all the shitty tricks. Can I say the word shitty on this?
You just did.
Okay, we can beep it out. She thought she was given, C tricks, not instead of A tricks. And she could not understand that division. None of there's the method, but then there's the effect it produces. And she quit the show because she couldn't get over that hump. And similarly, I once was asked to help on a pilot a guy wrote. We had a character whose hobby was magic. And this was an odd idea. It was a lawyer show. And one of the lawyers is in the script practicing magic tricks during one of their, big law firm conference meetings, whatever they call them. but we're in a conference room. He's there doing all these things. And in the script, there were certain tricks that had to be done. And one was clearly vanishing a handkerchief using a thumb tip. I mean, the writer of the script knew a little bit about magic and he knew how to do that trick. And so this is a famous actor, very well-known African-American actor. I made a black thumb tip for him and just a shade, everything. And this actor, let me tell you, big star, capable of conveying every emotion in the gamut of emotions, except for one. I am not wearing a thumb tip. He could not convey that. He'd put that on, and it was just like putting some part of his body into an electric socket. He just could not be anything but self-conscious. So he had to like play with other methods.
Oh gosh.
Wow, like a
That's
magnet.
funny.
Like he just kept staring that direction.
You know, these things are the hardest things, I think, to get over in magic. I mean, it doesn't have to be a thumb tip. I mean, we see even good magicians have tells when they're holding out. Say, oh, wow. And you see, oh, that's the really good magician. And here's the one who's okay, but there's a tell what he's holding out. Those things I feel are kind of, as lies go, everything we do is a lie. But those lies are kind of big lies. You know, I'm putting a plastic thing on my body and no one's going to notice it because you feel very exposed. That's why, you know, you can argue that maybe a false transfer is something that really teaches you magic, because once you can do that false transfer and take that object and put it in your hand, you can do a lot in addition to that false transfer, because it's such a clear lie. You're doing exactly the opposite of what you're saying you're doing. You're not putting something in your hand when, you know, the plot is, I put something in my hand. And that's a very hard thing for some people to get over, which is why they will do some false transfer and you can't see anything, but, you know, you it just seemed like a magician's doing something now. You just did something going on. And when you see a good magician, they just have that, you know, absence of tension and all those moments when that's desired.
I like that. That's good. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I teach magic to kids, and you always get them to pull away fast or the attention. I mean, even if their eye just darts in the wrong direction for 1 second, you wouldn't do that if you put something there. So,
and
100%.
Sometimes you get lucky if they're the right age where they don't know that something's difficult, or they don't know that something, if you were an adult, you'd feel exposed. There's
Right.
a certain age, and they're like 12 years old, where they're good enough to take direction, but they have no, you know, exposed nerve ending that's saying, oh, this is going to look horrible, because they just believe you. I was at one point brought in to consult like one episode of a show, and this had a kid in it that was taking up magic and liked a girl. That was sort of what the episode was about. This like 12-year-old kid liked a girl. And we had to come up with some tricks. And so I had the simple idea of it's sort of like the Kevin James trick without any floating, because I didn't want to get into that and the time constraints. But he has a paper flower. He touches it to a candle that's lit and it turns into a rose. And, you know, all the producers on this show, and there's, you know, no shortage, they're very nosy. And I'm there talking to the kid. And basically what you're telling the kid is, hold the rose here by your leg. The camera's over there. It's not going to see it. Take this. It's made out of flash paper, but don't worry. You just hold it down here. You'll be fine. Touch the flame. And as the flame goes, just bring up the rose. And it's going to look like that, turn into a rose. And the producers are hearing this, and they're like whispering amongst one another. And I thought we were going to get magic. We can't do that. And they're actually saying kind of snotty things to me. And I just said, you know what? Let's look at it through camera once. And you know where this story goes, because we all know that's a beautiful effect. We did it for the camera. Everyone shut the hell up. Everyone took 3 steps back, and you know, it was like flipping a switch. I became the enemy. I started as the enemy. I became the friend. But man, you get that a lot. When we had to do a vanish of a car on the Carbonaro show, we used, you know, a very down-to-earth method, which, as you can imagine, cars don't really vanish. basically, we're moving a car. And when we told the producer of the show, here's what we're doing, and we're going to like do this, and we're moving this car, and they're not going to see it because they said they thought there'd be some magic method. Like, I don't know what they thought. Sprinkle it with magic car powder. I don't know. And so we were, and this was an expensive day because when we did these big tricks, we spent the whole day just trying to get one arable take of the big trick. Smaller tricks, we did several a day. But the big ones cost the production company much more money because they took so much prep and took a whole day. And so again, we were just assholes until it worked. Then we were heroes.
Wow. So when you did the rose and you said, let's just do it for camera, did you do it for camera? Because the kid might trip or fumble. You let the kid do it. Okay.
They had to see the way it was going to look. I thought they had to see. I trusted the kid. I mean, he knew what he was doing. It was not a kid was an actor. He was not a dummy. He could take direction.
But if you hadn't seen the flash before, it's so much flash. And
Yeah,
it could,
12's not that young. It's not like a 4-year-old. He's a 12-year-old kid. I said, here's what we're going to do. Here's what's going to happen. Just
awesome.
do it. Yeah.
That is awesome. So,
but you know, if you talk to people that way, they can pretty much do things that might scare magicians. On the same subject in Carbonaro, we did a really beautiful illusion move with 2 non-magicians, 2 women that just came in as actresses. And it's one of those things, it was a story about a witch. And this beautiful woman is like looking at a quilt at a kind of estate sale situation, lifts it up and lowers it, and she's a craggy witch. And done in real time, just up and down, no cuts. And you think, oh, that must take weeks of rehearsal. You know what? If people aren't afraid of it, they can take direction, they can do it. And you just have to sort of be politely willful with the producers around you because they want to see, they think magic's magic. And so in that case, I just turned to everyone and said, hey, we're having them come in day before. They're not going to do it the day before. And so don't even hang around. We're just going to, I'm just talk to them. We're all, the magic people were all there, but not the producer people. We just want them to feel comfortable and so get the basic idea and how they're going to cross. And then day 2, we'll show them how to, you know, basically switch. And they did it perfectly, because had all the producers been around, they're going like this, well, when are they going to switch? They would have tensed up. They would have, like any normal person, screwed it up every single time, you know, with the sense of eyes glaring at them. But because it was a big nothing, it was perfect. I mean, a lot of people get credit for that, the whole magic team, but it was perfect.
That's awesome.
well, we got you growing up, getting the Abbott's, not Abbott's, but Tannen catalog, and then doing birthday parties. Where
Lots
does
of
the
birthday parties.
lots of birthday parties and
Yeah.
all family? You didn't advertise, you didn't have to.
Oh, well, yeah, I had my business cards that cost, I think, $3.50, I think was my first set. Then eventually went up to $5 a set as the years went by. And then I had a friend who worked with puppets, and he was my best friend, the kind of friend who when you're 14, you spend every waking moment with. He did puppets. I was, hey, let's do a combination show. Of course, stupid. We're splitting now the fee for a kid's show. But we thought, that'll be great. Because he had his puppet theater, and I had my magic table with a lightning bolt. And we could do tricks where sometimes the puppets would be the antagonist, or the puppet would have a problem, and the magic would solve the puppet's problem. And so we called that, and this is, you know, because we were super intelligent for our age, we called it Pudgic, puppets and magic. And we combined our resources to buy that $5 set of business cards. We each put in $2.50. PUGIC, and it said puppets up here in the corner, magic, Mark, David, there it is, Pudgic. We gave the business card proudly, like our parents, whatever, and they went, Hugic? Pudgic? No one in the history of Pudgic ever looked at that card and said Pudgic. They all said something that was not Pudgic, and it became an explanation. So it wasn't the best possible name for this.
Do these business cards still exist somewhere?
I think Mark sent me a photo of one at one point that he found. So yeah, I think one might exist somewhere. Don't ask me to put my finger on it. I moved too many times.
Oh, wow. Wow.
That's funny. Did it take off? Did you have any success with Project?
That's really cute. Acting like you've never heard Pudgic. I think we all know what happened to Pudgic.
All right.
Aw.
So we got you. So college, you ended up in Chicago city limits. Where does that go from Pudgic to Chicago city limits?
It's in college, I studied acting was my major, and I was also very into music. I was writing a lot of songs. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do because I really loved writing songs. So I'm doing that, and I'm busy in acting. And magic, didn't really have time for it. But after college, I had not a terribly unique experience where you get back into it, and it's the obsession, which you thought was, fairly severe the last time, doubles after college, maybe because I moved to New York and you feel like a stranger in a strange land. I just hit magic really hard and got into magic in, of course, a different way. I'm older now, so I'm not doing kid shows. I'm reading, the books that are out at that time, Harry Lorraine books, Frank Garcia books, and just really, really doing a deep dive. And it, was therapy as much as anything else for me. A kid, I never knew how to make a living. Absolutely. My father never sat me down and said, here's how it works, David. Yeah, he had a hardware business. He didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what I was doing. And magic became a very good friend to me at that time. It wasn't about money. It was about just, exploring it.
So you left Boston, you went to New York, and then to Chicago? Or
No. Chicago City Limits was a improv group. It started in Chicago.
Okay.
And then moved to New York and did very well in New York. And they kept the name Chicago City Limits because they came from Chicago, but I didn't join them until they were in New York. My trajectory in New York was I started just doing odd jobs, playing, being the house pianist in a showcase club, and kind of a shitty showcase club. How do you know it was shitty? Because I was the house pianist and I don't really play the piano.
Oh no.
I was going to say, I don't know of you as a piano player, so okay.
Yeah, so I'm doing that. And eventually at the Showcase Club, that's where I saw a guy who's a comic do funny magic. He did that. He put a cigarette into his fist and of course stole that up, then sprinkled magic dust over his hand, which is crumbling up the cigarette. Very funny, but he did the steal beautifully. And so that was great. And he's the one that told me about Frank Garcia and Harry Lorraine, and go to Tannen's and got those books. And I'm doing all that. Eventually I hear about a piano opening. You don't get paid much at these awful clubs. And there was an equally poor paying job with Chicago City Limits. They needed like a backup pianist. So Chicago City Limits first hired me as a backup pianist, but I got along with them. I was workshopping with them, and they asked me to join the touring company. Then they asked me to join the resident company. And that became, the best job you could possibly have in your 20s in New York. We made a living doing that show, and it was half sketch, half improv, with a theater that was 6 shows a week, every week, in the Upper East Side of Manhattan, right across from Light Opera of Manhattan. And as I say, we made a living wage, which, it wasn't riches, but it was really an anomaly to be making a living wage doing a comedy show in Manhattan. The next most popular group paid everyone nothing. So it went from nothing to the group that fortunately I was in that paid everyone a living wage. And, a lot of us were single in New York, making a living wage, doing a comedy show. So life's not going to get better than that. That was pretty great.
So I know Second City and I know some of the other improv groups, but it's not I know Magic, right? So I know of them at a distance. I saw a picture of you with Robin Williams. Who else is known from that? Because I know a lot of names from Second City. But
Robin Williams just came through and would hang out with us.
Okay.
Once he came the first time, he just sort of showed up because he was shooting a movie in New York. And I guess he wanted to just hang out with improvisers. And we had a good time. And he must have shown up certainly a dozen times at least, if not more, if not double that. He just kept showing up and we had a good time. He was, a terrific. I mean, it sounds silly to say this, but I think some people wonder, oh, does he just have all the same jokes in his head? No, he was everything. Yes, he did have billions of jokes in his head, but he also was a fantastic improviser. Really, really great.
That
Wow.
is really awesome.
Yeah, I love that, man.
That's
Yeah.
really cool that you got to do that with him.
So is there any
Yeah,
names from the second City Limit that I would know that you worked with? Like, did they go
No,
on?
it was one of these groups. I did like 2,000 shows with them. I was with them for 6
Wow.
years or more, and always doing shows. We did 6 shows a week. Sometimes we did corporate gigs or industrials, and we're just working constantly. And eventually, a couple of the members started to dislike one another. Not me, but a couple of the other members, and that created, just became an uncomfortable place to be around. And so that was sort of what started the fracture. Some people left. Eventually I left and other people left and new people came in, and they kept it going for a while with a different cast. But that core cast that I was lucky enough to be with, we caught on at that time, which is why we got a living wage. And I'm not saying every show was sold out, but enough were. And so you'd have good nights and bad nights. Obviously, the weekends were better than Wednesdays, but we'll be doing 2 shows a night on Friday and Saturdays, and special event shows, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and change the review every 6 months, and it just kept going and going and going. Interestingly, with COVID, we just started getting back together on Zoom, and it sounds sad. It really isn't sad. We just start playing with new forms just for ourselves. And, occasionally we crack each other up and it's fun. And it's just fun to sort of all be together again, except one person who is, in one of the 2 who didn't get along, but 4 of the 5 of us. And yeah, we have a good time.
Wow. Is there any video of the old cast together
Oh,
performing?
smeary, awful videos. And we're talking about the 1980s,
Okay.
So it's just like, just smeary, awful stuff. But a lot of people came through there. And so we did entertain a huge number of people that were going to comedy in New York in the 80s. And comedy was very big in the 80s.
That was a big boom, and boom in comedy in the 80s. So I know you from Magic. I had no idea of all this other writer, producer, all this other stuff.
That's how I made my living. Yeah.
Magic Reel magazine. You were just reviewing magic tricks, just did a little column. My favorite thing, I would go to you first because you would always have a rant. You would always have a rave. It was always fun. It was always scripted. Amazing. And when I worked Carbonara for a week for a blink of an eye, you were like, I remember walking in the room and you were on your hands and knees. And I'm like, that's David Regal right there. That's David Regal. Dude,
on his hands and knees.
and you were working on a prop, man. But I gotta tell you, my favorite part of working on Carbonaro, we were out to dinner with my wife, and you wrote me a text saying that I was hardworking and I was awesome. Somehow you said I was great, whatever, and you appreciated me. Dude, taking the time out to do that, I saved that email. It meant the world to me because you know how it is with the producers. See you tomorrow. They don't know. They don't know.
You were great and extraordinarily helpful and made things easier. And in a job like that, people don't realize. You realize. I'm talking about other people. They are jobs, and the production. The production company was not a big production company. It wasn't a robust production company. So a great deal fell on the Magic teams. When you showed up, and you're not the only person who helped us, but when someone shows up and really does help us, of course we're appreciative because time is always working against us. Budget, even if you had limitless budget, doesn't buy time. And we were on a very strict schedule. We had to come up with X amount of content. And when we lost time, that was ashanda, as the Jews say. You needed time. You needed time. And so someone like you just helped us immeasurably.
I got it on video now because I lost that text. Thank you, sir. That's all I wanted. Thank you. You mean the world to me. Seriously, man. I read that email and I was shaking. I was so happy. David Regal appreciated my work. I loved it, man. But let's see, what else? I want to tell everybody, because I got it written down here. This is just some of the television shows that I know that you worked on that I know. Some of them I don't know. But
most of the shows I've worked on, you don't know. I like to tell people I've worked on a few shows that were popular and many shows you've never heard of.
dude, I got a list of shows I know.
Don't go through them all. No.
Please,
These are shows. Sometimes people have never heard of the network it was on. It's awkward to tell your mother she actually can watch your show. My mom would say, "No, I don't get that network." I said, "Yeah, Mom, you do. You just never."
So,
No, don't.
Life with Fran Dresser. We have Hope and Faith, Kelly Ripa, Whoopi show, Rugrats, Life with Bonnie. Everybody
loves
Rugrats.
Rugrats is the one of them that everyone knows. Everybody Loves Raymond, everyone knows. The rest, was that a show? I mean, I get it. That was a show. Yeah, it was a show.
So, Real Monsters.
But that's how I made my living.
Real Monsters. I saw the picture of you on Genie magazine. I have it. I didn't know that show, but I knew Rugrats because I had a little nephew that had it on repeat all day long. Dude, according to Jim, Wild Thornberries, all of these shows, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Each one's a new nightmare for me.
And this is just television credits, people. Yeah. This is not acting credits. Do you have an acting reel? I'm looking for
I used to do a lot of acting when I was just an actor in New York, so I do commercials and stuff like that. But I've had a bizarre, oddball kind of, set of adventures that I've gone through. I started out, I'm playing piano. Now I'm with this improv group for 6 years. Then I took an executive job with a company that went public, though I didn't make money off it. I should have got a lawyer at the time. But so I was like an executive for 4 years, and I hated that. Then I moved out to LA, and I got into writing. And it was helpful that I had friends that came before me to sort of tell me the ropes a little bit. But everyone thinks it's romantic. It's really not that romantic. When you're a TV writer, you've won the lottery if you're on a show that goes for years and years and years. I've been on a couple, but that, multi-years. But a lot of writing jobs are 6 months if the show is not successful and it's a new show, or a year. And so basically in show business, most people are looking ahead to the next job. It's rare when people go, well, I'll be here for quite a while. It does happen. But, most people have a certain amount of fear and anxiety and dread. And if you have children and everything, it's just a real constant hustle for the next thing. And not to be depressing, everything about LA is true. So you have great jobs and great experiences, but you also meet some bad people. And that is nuts because of, people's ambition and stuff. You see a lot of bad behavior. And that part of the business I really didn't like. And, I used to be ashamed to tell people I was kind of disillusioned by, what I was seeing here. Then I realized every book ever written about Hollywood is about someone being disillusioned. So I'm no longer shy about saying it. There's good, and then there's like, this weird, crooked stuff going on, and it's all true.
Wow.
Yeah, well, my publicist is out in LA, and she tells me stories, but I couldn't make it out there. We're too innocent.
I think so.
We would fall for all of it. We would.
I got through it all, but I'm just saying, people think it's all laughs and giggles. It's just a lot. I was on shows where people quit. It's like, no one quits. Don't you need to make a living? But I mean, because it's just so poisonous. And I've been on great shows. I mean, great shows. I couldn't get to work fast enough. So I'm just saying it's both, a little of both.
Is it backstabbing with other writers or just the producers and the whole everything?
That does happen. The lying, cheating, and stealing is a real thing. And you see bad behavior because the rewards are so high. If you can get up high enough, I was always like, I did okay. Writer, producer, and a bunch of shows. I now have the luxury of not having to work. And I'm too old to get those jobs now anyway. But that's why you work, so you can one day not work. But the rewards are so high at the tippity top of that pyramid. At the tippity top of the TV pyramid, back when I was doing it, That's when syndication was the money model. With streaming, that has changed. Syndication isn't what it used to be, but that was the brass ring, because we had a little piece, a point or two or more of a show that's successful in syndication. The money you're going to be handed is the biggest check in show business. So when you'd see people from the movies getting to TV, is it because they were, thrilled by the challenge of a new medium? No, they saw their friend making 10 times as much money. And I don't think it was the challenge of the medium. The rewards back then at the tippity top, there were no higher rewards in entertainment. So that's why people would lie and cheat and steal, because they didn't care how they got there. And when you see it happen, it takes your breath away. But a lot of people, not just me, a lot of people saw that happen.
So how many kids do you have? Is it 2?
I've never counted.
Come on.
Honey, do a kid check. Wes wants to know. No, I have 2 kids.
How many?
2, a boy and a girl.
Any of them following your footsteps? Any of them want to be a writer?
Yeah, my son is a young actor. He's been in several things and several parts, and he's on 2 different shows now, one recurring, one just, I think, 1 episode. He was one I just saw him in. The one, P.T. Feldman, was that it was, on Peacock? I can't remember. Anyhow, he had a good part in that. So he's walking the walk, trying to figure out how to be a young actor and all that. And my daughter took after my wife. She's into the library sciences, and she works at Cal Arts right now.
Oh, cool.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool. Is Carbonero still on the air? All I can find out is that they took a hiatus during COVID.
Well, I know we're not making any new ones. We're talking about making new ones right up to lockdown. But then when you stop that machine, I doubt it's going to start up again, because, Michael is touring. And when he does these tours, they're in 2,000-seat theaters. And that's, just a fantastic world, perfect for him. I mean, in every way. I think creatively, it's very rewarding. I think it's much easier than doing a TV show, because you're not experiencing doing something the first time every single day. And I'm sure financially it's much, much better.
But it also brings new people into his world when he starts a new season.
Well, I mean, that's why he had this sort of, I can't speak for him, but it's very stressful doing the show. Even though it had a very lighthearted end result, very difficult show to do. He'd tell you the same thing. Anyone on the Magic team would say the same thing. We loved the show, but no one would call it an easy job. It was a very difficult job. But we loved Michael, we loved the show, we loved Magic, because that team all really wanted it to work out. That's why the show worked out, because it was more than a job. We really wanted it to work. So Michael's under that stress, but as you say, the TV series was the gas in the engine for the live shows. But now Michael's come so far, I would guess enough people know who he is so he can just keep doing those shows. Because I keep seeing his schedule up, his touring schedule. It looks like he's got fantastic people behind him and doing these tours. He used to say, though, back in the day, you needed a new episode on the air to really pack in the audiences. I don't know if that's true, but he used to say there was a correlation.
Mm.
Well, that's what I was thinking when I, met him after a show, and I was like, dude, the Copperfield model, you need to do these shows. Keep the show paid for the tour for Copperfield. That's how he did it for all those years. He did it 22 years, those yearly specials, even if he did an annual special like that or something. But he's selling out. So right now,
and he's a great live show. I have nothing to do with his live show, but his show is fantastic. And the audience, the times I've seen it, is comprised of a really unusual array of people on dates, people who brought their kids, and they're all loving this show because he's just got a real ability to project his personality and be very present. And people really respond to that.
But teens love him, and so do grandmas.
Yeah.
That's the gambit he's got. He's got it all, man. So I don't know. What do you got, Nat? I got more for him here. How often do you perform at the Castle?
I do it whenever they ask, maybe a couple of times a year, which is plenty for me because I having an odd relationship with magic. I used to protect it and keep it just as my love, my obsession, and never try and look to it for money. Because I was always, when you're a writer, you're always selling, pitching, selling, love me, love me, love me. Let me just go to magic and just have this joy. But having said that I started off saying, let's not look to this for money. It saved my life on more than one occasion. Like when some writing gig, which I was sure I had, fell through for whatever reason. Well, I could do this magic thing I had in mind, and it would, take care of that year. So I don't take it for granted at all, but I do try to preserve my enthusiasm for it. And I forgot your question now. What led to this?
I just said, how many times do you perform there?
Oh, yeah. So I do it a couple of times a year, and that's plenty for me. Why? Pardon me. Because I started admitting only fairly recently that I love the process. I really enjoy performing, but I love the process. So what I love to do is the opposite of what a professional magician would do. A professional magician has his 5 minutes, his 10 minutes, his 15 minutes, his 20, his 45. I like getting booked in the Magic Castle and spending 3 months working on my set for that appearance at the Magic Castle. Thinking about what I want to do. Is there a holiday around this time? Is there something about here that can make it a theme? And picking, the tricks and rehearsing it for 3 months and then doing it for 1 week. It's stupid because if I was a pro, that isn't something that makes any sense. But because I like the process, well, that's why the carbonara job is a good job for me, because you're constantly having to come up with the next thing. That's how I get joy now. I feel like I'm 15 years old again. When I grew up, the basement, it was the East Coast, so there were basements, had all my magic junk. And that was my sanctuary because it was an unhappy household, like 50% of the households are. I'd go to my sanctuary. There was all my magic stuff. And it's like that again for me now. Not that it's an unhappy house, but now I approach magic with that sense of real play and exploration. And because I am older now, I don't have worries and anxieties that I used to have. And it's a very pure experience. So why do I only do it a couple of weeks a year? Why am I not pestering to do more? Because that's about right. Because I'm spending 3 months each time, working on what I feel like doing. And I love doing it. I love just coming up with something.
How long have you been working the castle? How many years over the time have you?
Since 92, I think, 1992, when I moved to LA. And I didn't know I was going to make a living in LA. And the castle was so kind to me. They allowed me to be a performer before I was a member. They just booked me, and they really embraced me in the early 90s. And I probably did 4 weeks a year in the early 90s and special event things. And when I finally started getting work, I became a member and all that. But I will never forget, they said, don't worry about it. We'll hire you to perform and become a member when you can.
That's
Nice.
awesome. That's awesome.
It is, yeah.
So as far as the Magic Castle 2 times lecture of the year, how far apart are those?
I don't recall, but 2 is the max. So that's as many lectures of the year as I can ever get, but I'm thrilled to get them because it's something I love to do. When you lecture, you're just doing the material and they're responding to it or not. And you speak to them in a different way than you speak to an audience, obviously, because to an audience, you can say, oh, here's the part I like, because as a magician, I like the fact that this is here and this is there. But you can talk to other magicians in a way. I can't talk to my wife that way. I can't talk to my kids that way. It really is a fraternity where you can speak a different language and laugh about different things. And I'm socially introverted. So it's a way for me to get out and meet people. And, I'm a homebody in my life, but going to the Magic Castle gets me out of the house, doing lectures, gets me out, and I enjoy it.
I don't see him as introverted at all.
No, you don't.
Not as a performer, but socially I am. My wife pointed that out to me one day. She had read a book called The Introvert Advantage. And we'd already been married for quite a while. She said, "You realize we're introverts?" I go, "No, we're not. Have you ever seen my monkey act when I do my show?" She goes, "I'm not talking about that. So we don't go to a lot of parties. We go to almost no parties. We don't do this. Some people going to a party is like gas in their engine, and they're just filled up. And we're not like that. We're not like that at all. We just like to hang out and watch some TV, talk about this or that, and that's just the way we are. But a lot of people are that way. That's why they were able to sell a book called The Introvert Advantage.
There you go. There you go. We went to a wedding this weekend. We don't know what to do when we're not working. So we just sit in the corner and just look around. We don't, because it's either I'm on stage or I don't know how to be medium. Either I'm off or I'm on. I don't know how to be medium. So I don't think I'm definitely not introvert though. I'm definitely not introvert.
No, you're very outgoing, but I'm definitely introvert. He has to, I always shove him in front of me. You go talk to those people, I'll come up behind. So
I'm trying to look at this. So in all these, I got one here. In all these choking photos that you have on davidregal.com, where did that start?
I don't know, from self-esteem issue because I wasn't hugged enough as a child. Is that what you made?
Maybe.
oh no.
I just started doing it because when you work in sitcoms, even before that, I came up through animation. So I was working at Rugrats, which at that time was #1. Then I really wanted to get into sitcoms because there were no residuals, no union for the Rugrats. And with kids, you really want residuals, you want union benefits.
There's no residuals at all with Nickelodeon. I've heard some of the actors talk about it.
Yeah, I don't know. No, I think the voice talent was SAG on Rugrats, but not the writing staff.
And what about the kid actors in the shows? Not on Rugrats, but like on an acting sitcom.
I don't know. Don't quote me because I don't know.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know if they're SAG or not, but I finally, muscled my way into sitcoms. And again, I forgot your question. Why are we talking about this?
I don't know. You're talking about like Hope and Faith or Life with Fran. No, I'm just going to the list again. I'm going to the list again.
Don't read the list of shame.
What's so good? Darla and Greg. She was cute. I was asking about the choking, where the choking came from.
Oh, the choking, right. So thank you. When you do these shows, especially, cartoons, a lot of the voice talent is famous and they're not making a lot of money. My guess is, their nephew watches the show, they're offered a gig, and they can tell their nephew, "Oh, I did this, I'm on the show you like." So all these famous people would come through, and eventually, I thought, I'm only going to see these people once. Let's just, let's do some funny shots. So I started having people choke me, and I didn't do it with everybody, but I did it with a lot of people, and finally started meeting some of my heroes, like Sid Caesar, the late Sid Caesar, the greatest sketch comedian who ever lived, some people feel. Not as well remembered now because it was mostly on television where he became famous, but he was a millionaire at the age of 35 back in the 1950s because he was that big a comedy star. And also one of the original burnouts, he had a huge drug and alcohol issue, but he was it. I got to meet him, have him strangle me. And, other people I was very happy to have met. And get strangled's nice too, but I just started doing it for a while. Wow.
So davidregal.com, his book Approaching Magic, and the new one, Interpreting Magic. When was Interpreting Magic? Was that 2020?
Yeah, it came out right before the pandemic. And so I couldn't do a tour, but I did one. It was the session in London, and the book was just being released. And this is, I'm not saying this to toot my own horn. This is just such a warm, wonderful memory. I said, how many books should I ship over? Very expensive to ship heavy books. I didn't know. I figured I'll ship a lot. Josh, they have a shop. They'll buy what I don't buy. So I shipped a ton. It was like, I get that there's a wall of my book in the dealer area. And everyone's sort of making jokes about wall of book. And I said to Josh, hey, I figured as long as I'm shipping, you could maybe, take the ones I don't sell. He said, no, actually, we have an agreement with Murphy's, so it'd be very awkward to do that. It's like, oh, no. I said, okay, well, I'll just worry about it. But now I'm doing the first lecture. And the lecture, as I said, it's just the material. they either respond to it because they like the material or they don't. And, you know, basically, I'm only performing at the Magic Castle and for friends. So it's material I perform, but yeah, these aren't people that have been to the Magic Castle. It's all new for them. And I sold the wall of books. I did that lecture and the wall of books was gone. And it just was such a warm feeling. I just came out with a book. You don't know if people are going to like it or not like it. And they don't buy it just to have a book. It means they like the material. And, you know, writing a book is ridiculous amount of labor. So the fact that they like that material and it resonated with them. And then we had lockdown right after that. I was about to travel all around the world toward that book. And then it came on the news, no one's going anywhere. And it was just like a few days before I was getting on a plane. No one's going anywhere.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, at least you didn't get stuck over there.
Yeah.
Did it make you quarantine?
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
So Clarity Box, that was a huge seller. Your Clarity Box
it was big, and it started an industry of people with little plastic boxes. So I'm glad that I could put food on so many people's plates. No, actually, Clarity Box, I don't mind that people came out with other clear boxes, and there are clear boxes before my clear box. But unfortunately, it was knocked off with my name on it within 90 days. 90 days.
Oh my
Knocked
goodness.
off with my name on it. So it was an exact copy that some of the knockoffs. And then there's like I came out with this thing, and you know, every once in a while, it's not often, a trick will catch on. I put out tricks just to do it. I just want to contribute. I need them to be profitable so I can keep doing it. But even if it just sort of breaks even, I don't cry. I go, some break even, some catch on. So Clarity Box. I don't mind people come out with their own version of a little plastic box. But I remember I came out with it on Magiclife, and I brought them all to Magiclife. And I'm not going to mention this person's name, but a magician. And I show him this thing, a clear box, and switches the card. And it's just coming out. It's falling out of the box. It's switched on the way. He goes like this. I still have this mental memory. So this guy comes out with his own clear box, which I don't mind. Come out with your own clear box. But it was the promo. His promo pissed me off. His promo was like him saying, all my life, I like card and canister, but all my life, I wanted to do it with a clear box. And I said, no, it wasn't all your life. I know the day it entered your mind because I watched you go, all his life. Give me a crumb. Give me a crumb.
Magicians, I love them. I'm attracted to them like a magnet, but that part of it kills me, man. It kills me. And I don't live in LA.
It's just silly. But again, that didn't bother me at all. The part that bothers me is getting honestly ripped off. It's like, that's just, you know, it's rough because that's literally stealing.
Right.
So how about your sudden deck? You have 3 variations of that. I have 2 of them. It's an awesome trick.
I think there's a 4th one now. There's a universal sudden deck, which I had to make. I worked with Penguin on it to produce it because I actually don't live in a warehouse. I very often want people to help. Why universal sudden deck? Because there's been a trend for many years now of magicians using unique back designs. And my sudden decks were all bicycle. And I said, well, we need a universal. So I made it out of that synthetic paper. It's not really paper. It's very tear resistant and durable. It doesn't crumple like cardboard. And it's that kind of plastic material, and it has sticky stuff on it. So you take any card case, cut it up and just stick it on there, and now it matches your back design. So that's the latest one. But I thought it was necessary. Yeah.
I haven't seen that one yet. That's awesome. That's
really
great.
cool. Yeah.
And all of your promos and everything are on your website. So you click it and you get the commercial right there for each one.
Yeah, they're very low tech. I mean, basically, all the stuff I do a video with my son. Here's what it is. Here's what it does. And as I say, I'm not trying to like squeeze the juice out of the orange and see how many of something I can sell. I put it out there and it finds what it finds, and that's it.
So do you sell it all out of your house, or do you deal with Penguin and Murphy's to help ship?
Murphy's carries a lot of my stuff. Penguin carries a lot of my stuff. Very few things I keep in my house. I have you can buy most of my stuff from me, but no, I don't have a warehouse. So
Right.
I need all these people to carry these different things. And I want to, create voids in my garage constantly.
Right, park a car in the garage, right?
Yeah, we can't park a car in our garage.
Yeah, I know, nor can I.
have a Genie magazine with Aha Real Monsters on it. So yeah, I have Genie magazines and Linking Ring magazines. Linking Ring dating back to 1943. I have all of them in the garage. 10 bookshelves. I love it.
Yeah, at some point it moves from hobby to problem, doesn't it?
No, I
Okay.
see no problem with it. When I'm dead, she can figure it out.
No, that's always the sad thing, because more often than not, the smart thing is just give it to a youth group. That's what I'm going to tell, my descendants to do. Don't worry about it. Just give it to a youth group or something, and don't try and auction it off. Just, give it to some people that can have some fun with it.
That would be an overwhelming job. He has the largest room in the house for magic, and then he has the whole 2-car garage is all magic.
How can you put up with this guy?
I love him. I don't know.
Okay.
It feeds her. It puts clothes on her back. Hey, it takes care of us.
Every pot has a lid.
We get to travel and go to Atlanta and meet David Regal. It's done some cool things for me.
Me too. I'm just kidding.
I know this is the audio, but I can't wait to show you this. This guy is an animal lover. This is it clearing? Look at that.
That's great.
That's the only way I can pose with me if
fantastic.
I had
That's fantastic.
I'll put that on the podcast Facebook group. But yeah, that puppy, man, you came run over like a magnet. I'm like, let's get a picture, man. Any adorable animal I had. That was the hard part with what we did, because we worked to help the magic team a little bit, but we were animal wranglers as well. So we'd have to get up at 6 to be on set at 8. And then after everybody left, we had to go return these animals and all these different places.
It's rough.
Yeah, it was
not an easy job.
But dude, we had a blast. It was so every day was an adventure. It was awesome. It was
a really neat experience.
And getting to meet you and Michael and the rest of the team. Everybody was awesome to us.
Yeah.
But we weren't there long enough to get under anybody's skin either. So
that's true. That is true. That might have been a good thing.
David, you've been awesome, man. We're running out of time here. DavidRegal.com. David Regal on Facebook. Anywhere else? Do you have Instagram, Twitter, any of that?
Yeah, I don't do much Instagram. I do Twitter and Facebook, and I think my Facebook goes to Instagram. I don't know. I'm taking it easy, Wes. What can I tell you? I'm taking it easy.
You got all that Carbonaro money. That's what it is.
No, it's not that. But I finally, everyone my age got the same message. We didn't think it. We saw it in the newspaper. During COVID, people that were kind of my age had, been working, start to go, what do I have to really give up? Never have to deal with any annoying person for the rest of my life. And it's like, I don't have to give up anything. And so I was very lucky to be the age I was during COVID. I felt bad for my kids and younger people for whom the rug, was pulled out. But I'm not alone in that. I was at just the right age for COVID, because it actually gave me more time with my wife, my kids, because as you know, I traveled for Carbonaro. And so for 5 years, I saw them half the year. And I immediately, though I'm not saying the pandemic was good, I'm just saying I was in a position where I could appreciate things I hadn't been appreciating. And that was nice.
That's good. That's good that you had that ability. That's really good.
Only because I was old enough.
We had savings. That's the only thing that got us through. I have friends that had to get real jobs, and they were waiters, or people in Vegas that are Vegas headliners were waiters and lawn care people. I mean, it's like we had savings. Thank God.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I take my family on the road with us. So we have the
That's
RV.
fantastic. That's fantastic.
It's hard work. It's a lot more work, but I want to see my kids. I have a lot of my friends like you. Their family is. They only see them every once in a while, and they go away and they have to do gigs, and that's show business. But I'm like, I think I can fix it. I think with Natalie's help, I can. Thank you so much. This has been awesome. You are awesome. Thank you
My
for
pleasure.
being on here. DavidRegal.com. I don't know what else to say, but see you next week.
Check us out online at wesisley.com and patreon.com/Wes_Isley for behind-the-scenes videos, blooper videos, never-before-seen footage, discounts on merchandise, magic trick tutorials, and more. That's Wes Iseli, spelled WESISELI.